Epictetus is another one of my favorites. Oh, start there with pronunciation. Ancient philosopher, pronunciation probably closer to something like Epictetus, but we'll just say Epictetus, that's what people say. Now, we will use this, Epictetus's Stoicism, as a plan B, right? Let's say that you've listened to Marx Marcuse and Fromm, you've listened to me rant about needs and artificial needs, and you say, sorry, Jeff, I can't make those changes. I'm going to have my alienated job and I'm going to just try to maintain my socially patterned defect and see how it could go. Well, if you are not going to change things about your life or about your needs, well, then the best answer would be to change the way you think about things and become a Stoic. All right, so first let's say something about who Epictetus was. Epictetus was a slave in the Roman Empire. Now, right there, you're saying, all right, I read this. It sounds crazy. I even put the date right on there, right? 135, right, AD. And you're saying, well, that's my excuse. I can't live up to this either because it's from a long time ago. No, don't do that, right? So briefly, he was a former slave of the Roman Empire. He attained his freedom because he had a mangled leg. Now, it is possible today to be a Stoic as much as it was in those days. There is no big change that technology should make. In fact, for most of my young life, when I was your age, I was about 90% consistent as a Stoic. Nowadays, I'm about 50% consistent. And I would recommend 50% consistency for all of your lives. It would make your lives a lot better. Now, the key question you're asking, well, Jeff, you hypocrite, why aren't you 90% consistent anymore? Well, I got married and had kids, and of course they would misunderstand if I was too thoroughgoing of a Stoic. They would misunderstand my Stoicism for being cold and not caring about them, right? So now I'm moderated. Let me add a couple more prefaces here. First, right, I love Epictetus. The even more popular or famous Stoic was Marcus Aurelius. He was actually an emperor of Rome, but I don't think he was as consistent, and I don't think his writings are as clear. They're fascinating to read. He's brilliant, right? But I don't think it's as clear of a presentation as Epictetus, and even Marcus Aurelius learned from Epictetus, right? He is the essence of Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius is just the more popular one, probably the better writer. One more. Here we have another one of these philosophical schools of thought that caught on in our vocabulary, right? So major ancient schools of thought that are actually going on at the same time have become vocabulary words for us. Think of three of them: the Cynics, the Skeptics, and the Stoics. So please distinguish these schools of thought from the adjectives they have given us. To be a skeptic nowadays, it is similar to what a skeptic was in ancient Greece and ancient Rome, but it is different. For example, skeptics in the classical sense were some of the happiest people ever. Their whole point was to maintain tranquility by not adhering to any beliefs. And today, skeptics are usually pissed off people, but the premise is still the same. Cynics, right? Cynic is a word that now, if you put it with a small c, means someone that's distrustful. Well, you could say the ancient cynics were similar, a little different though. They were radical hippies, hipsters that didn't trust in any modern innovations, didn't trust in political society, so they were these radical, free, crazy people. Stoics, finally. The adjective Stoic means someone that is cold and unaffected by things. Now you can see that this is pretty close to the philosophy in this case. Now, capital S Stoic means a whole bunch more, but to call someone very stoic with a small s is to say that they are cold and unemotional. If you've read this already, which you should have, you will see why they get that reputation. All right, I think that's enough prefaces. One of the coolest things about Stoicism is it's an incredibly easy philosophy to understand. It is very hard to follow, but very easy to understand because it has only one rule. Now, Some of you would say that your lifestyle has only a few rules or maybe one rule, but it really doesn't. It has a bunch. Let's try Christianity. Christianity would say that, if you read carefully, there's only two rules: love God and love others as yourself. Well, is that easy to understand? No, right? How should we understand what it is to love God, and how do you love others as yourself, right? We'll talk about a reference of this when we talk about the golden rule. Then you might tell me, well, basic Christianity has only 10 rules, the 10 commandments. No, not a chance. Do you know that the following books, Deuteronomy and Leviticus, these are really commentary on how to follow the 10 commandments? So there are hundreds, if not 1,000 different rules for how to obey the 10 commandments. So get out of here with that. Now let's try this. So let's find the one single rule. You are a good Stoic if you follow the rule. You're a bad Stoic if you don't. It's as simple as that. Now, let's find it. When I am pointing out where we're going to be reading, I'll refer to the section number. If it's a long section, I'll also refer to the paragraph number, but most of the time I will simply just say, okay, let's look at number 41, and it's just a small section. So, here is the one rule of Stoicism. One rule, really clear idea. Let's go to section 1, the last paragraph. Work therefore to be able to say to every harsh appearance, you are but an appearance and not absolutely the thing you appear to be. And then examine it by those rules which you have, and first and chiefly by this, whether it concerns the things which are in our own control or things which are not. And if it concerns anything not in our control, be prepared to say that it is nothing to you. There's the rule, but now how can we state it clearly? Here comes a problem, and notice I say one rule with an asterisk, because it usually isn't understood directly as the rule that it is. In fact, right now, if I asked you to paraphrase that rule, you would give me what I'm calling the Whitey corollary. No offense, right? But we were all, I think all of us, raised in a whitey culture or a whitey subculture. So I know plenty of you are proudly red, brown, black, all sorts of different things. Yes, but we were socialized into a whitey subculture, and that means we were socialized into a whitey way of thinking about ethics. Let me explain. If I were to ask the average person, what is the one rule of Stoicism? They would look at this paragraph I just read and say, oh, I've got it. The one rule is, don't worry about things out of your control. That is actually a good summary, but it is actually the Whitey corollary. Let me explain. When Whitey understands ethics, Whitey always makes ethics a series of negations, things you shouldn't do. When you think of the 10 Commandments, what do you hear? A bunch of thou shalt nots. Well, that's not good moral advice. Here, let me imitate this. Let me right now imitate what a good person is according to Whitey. So, in the next 30 seconds, I'm going to demonstrate goodness according to Whitey societies. Ready? Go. Your video didn't freeze. I'm just sitting here. Because what's the point? Goodness, according to Whitey ethics, is just not doing anything wrong. It's a pure negation. So if you are just sitting there doing nothing, did I kill anyone? Did I lie? Did I steal? That makes me a good person. No, it doesn't. It makes you neutral. It means your hero is someone that's asleep or someone in a coma, because there's someone that's alive and not doing anything wrong. Do you see how ridiculous this is? Well, that is what Whitey societies always do with morals. They make them about what not to do. Or being a good Christian means you don't sin. Well, that's insane. What do you do? And by the way, it's very hard to not do something. If you are trying to be a good Christian and not sin, well, busy your time with finding good things to do instead of just trying to not do bad things. It's so hard to not do bad things. So what am I trying to say? The real one rule of Stoicism is concern yourself with things you can control. Focus on the things you can control. Forget about what you can't. Don't just focus on not worrying about what you can't control. The one rule is positive. Notice that. If I say the golden rule, so let's go back to this. Let's try to say that you have you have boiled down basic ideas about religion and morality into the golden rule. Well, most people don't understand the golden rule. The golden rule is do unto others as you would want done unto you. What does that mean? You have to go out of your way to do good things for other people. Is that how most people apply that? No, they take it as the silver rule. Don't do unto others what you wouldn't want done to you. It's completely passive and inactive. Again, you see the difference, right? Stoicism is positive. Concern yourself with what's in your control. There is a negative. Don't worry about what's not in your control, but that's a corollary. All right, let's work. Now we run into another problem. What is this problem? That we need a little addendum or a little prefatory point, right? Let's call it the precursor. This will be the grasshopper precursor. I hope you understand that metaphor. A grasshopper is someone that is, oh, here, you have it, Star Wars metaphor, the Padawan, someone that is learning and not yet ready. Well, here's the problem. Most people, whitey culture, immature intellectually and morally and psychologically, you're not ready for Stoicism yet. And Epictetus knows this. So he gives you a beginner's version, a step A, in order to get to the one rule. So I'm sorry, the one rule has become 3, right? The one rule, the whitey version, which is negative, which you should avoid, but there's also the beginner version. Let's look at this. So look at section 2 and just go 9 lines down in section 2. It says this. But for the present, notice, he notices that we need something to do first. But for the present, totally suppress desire. Damn, that doesn't sound fun. That's double negative, right? Not only don't worry, but now suppress. Get rid of all of your current desires. Let me explain why. He says it next. For if you desire any of the things which are not in your own control, you must necessarily be disappointed. And if those which are, page 2, and which it would be laudable to desire, nothing is yet in your possession. So now we see why. There is one rule, but most people aren't ready for it. Why? Because everything you're concerned with right now, everything you desire and want, is out of your control. Think about it. When you look at the list we will give of what is in our control, of out of our control, all the things you're concerned with and worry about and plan for are out of your control. So what's the point? You got to first get rid of those, add in things that you actually control, then you can follow those things. If you actually desire things you can control, go at it. But the problem is, most people don't. Most people are only concerned with things they don't control, so they must hit the reset button and start over. Get rid of all of your desires until you learn to actually desire things you can control. So, of course, what we have to do is focus now on what's in our control and what's out of it. Now, if you want to avoid the brilliance of this, this is what you've got to fight. You've got to fight this basic idea, because even if you don't want to be a Stoic, he is still saying, if you think you can control these things, you're a fool and you'll be disappointed because you can't. So, I am going to become very snotty and sardonic. Sardonic is a cool word. It means mocking sarcasm. So I'll try to make it clear, both in my facial expressions and my tone, that I am being snotty. I am defending this against popular ideas about what we can and can't control. All right, so first, let's make our basic list. We'll make our list of what we can control and what we can't, and I will fill in the words, right? I'll fill in these translated words with other things that mean the same thing, so it makes it more familiar. And the key here is you're going to want to fight these lists. You are going to want to show that, no, Jeff, no, Epictetus, I'm not a dummy. I can control the things I'm concerned with. No, you can't. It's naughty. So first, start with the key passage. This is the very beginning of the whole Enchiridion, right? Passage 1, first paragraph. Easy list, but again, I'll give synonyms. Some things are in our control and others are not. Things in our control are opinion, pursuit, desire, aversion, and in a word, whatever are our own actions. So pause there and make a list. So what is in our control? Well, our opinions are in our control. What does that mean? Our judgments, our beliefs, right? Our perceptions. Notice, right? Our pursuit is in our control. But what does he mean by that? He means the goals that we seek, right? What we're trying to achieve, not achieving them. Attaining your goals, notice, this isn't harsh, are not in your control, but seeking after them is in your control. Our desires are in our control. Now, of course, that again, we could say, right, what we like, notice, right, our tastes, our hopes are in our control. I notice there's going to be objections there. Next, our aversions. What does this mean? What we dislike, the things we fear. And of course, our actions, that's straightforward. So first list. Second list, and I'm sure you saw objections in the first one. Continue. Things not in our control are body, property, reputation, command, and in one word, whatever are not our own actions. So let's fill this in. By body, this would mean our health, right? Our health is out of our control. Our property, our possessions, our things are out of our control. Reputation's pretty easy to understand, but just notice, because we can't control other people's judgments, but only our own, well then of course our reputation is out of our control. We can't control what other people think, what their tastes and judgments are. And notice this one, our command is out of our control. This one's controversial. This means our position in the world, how much authority we have, our jobs, our wealth is out of our control. We can't control how much say we have in the world. Nice. And of course, others' actions, their judgments, beliefs, their perceptions, easy to say are out of our control. So what we want to do now is object to these things and see if I can defend Epictetus as being correct in making this distinction. One sort of objection I'll get out of the way at the very beginning is there is what I'll call the dumb objection to this. Of course you can say, could be your objection, I am so stupid that I let other people make my choices for me, and I don't control my beliefs and judgments. I just follow they and do what they do. I don't have any of my own thoughts. I'm not in control of my character or actions or choices. Yes. If you're a dum-dum, you're not going to be a good Stoic. You are going to think you can control things that you can't, and you are going to let everyone control your judgments and beliefs. You win, you're a dummy, you can't control anything. Okay, I am not going to try to defend this against a dummy who makes none of their own choices. But could we say this validly as, yes, there are plenty of people around us whose judgments and beliefs are just being rationalizations. They are just adopting their society's views and don't make any judgments of their own? Sure, but that's hardly a critique of Stoicism. Stoicism is for people who are trying to take charge of their lives, not just be more sheeple. So now the snotty defensiveness. Okay, ready? So get ready for the sarcasm. First, you might look at this list and say, right, my fears are out of my control. Oh, that one seems legit. That sounds like a lot of people would say, I can't control what I'm afraid of. I'm just afraid of spiders or whatever. Good. And I can't control what I dislike. I just hate broccoli. Whatever. Now, let me show you some of the Stoic psychology. First, sardonicness. Really? You can't control what you dislike and you can't control what you're afraid of? Oh, so this means you dislike all of the same things you did as a kid and you're afraid of all the same things you were. So you're afraid of monsters in your closet and you're afraid of the dark. No, you're not. And you hate all the same foods you always hated. No. Now, there might be a few, but what happens? Well, it's easy. As you gain knowledge, sorry, kids are dummies, right? As you gain knowledge and experience, what happens? You change your beliefs about things. You're only disliking things or fear certain things because you believe they are terrible or you believe they are real and you should be afraid of them. You're not afraid of the dark, at least I hope not anymore, because what? You've learned that that belief was stupid, and so you change the belief. Notice, you control your beliefs, and because you can control your beliefs, it might take some training. Some beliefs are hard to change. It might take some thoughtfulness and research, but when you change the belief, the emotional reaction changes. Let's try the psychology. For instance, someone might say, I can't control my anger. That is such a bad faith excuse, right? I'm just angry. No, you're not. That's a belief. I mean, it's based on a belief that you can control. Let's try it. Anger could be justified if some conditions are met. You could be justified in being angry if someone is intentionally, notice intention is a key step, threatening something that you genuinely care about, second step. So if you believe those two things, then your anger might be reasonable. It might be something that is worth getting angry about. But notice, in most cases, if you change those two beliefs, the anger doesn't follow. Let's take someone who has a road rage problem. They're constantly screaming at people, freaking out, just getting pissed when someone cuts them off. Let's take the normal scenario. You are slowing down to get to a red light, and then someone cuts right in front of you to be first at the red light. Now, you are stupid if you get mad at this. First, right? Are they intentionally threatening you? No. They are just being a very narcissistic douchebag, probably like you, and they want to get somewhere quicker. They are not trying to hurt you. No, they don't want to get in an accident. That would get them there even slower. They're just in a hurry, and they don't really show any concern for others. Now, of course, we could be disappointed in their character, but we shouldn't get angry. They're not doing this intentionally against us. And is being first at that stoplight something you should genuinely care about? No. Yes, they're being inconsiderate, and you can say that's a jerk, but your anger means that you think that this is something you should genuinely care about, right? You have a car ego. No one gets in front of my car. That's stupid. You're being completely irrational. If you see that these beliefs are dumb, then you will see that the reaction would change. Oh, they're not doing that intentionally. They're just a thoughtless person. And no, they're not threatening something I should genuinely care about. It's just being first at a stoplight and a scratch on my car. That is not something that is genuinely worth caring about. All right. What's another objection? Here, let's get to the good ones where things are out of our control and we think they are. Let's try body and health. Go ahead. Okay. This is sarcasm. Ooh, that is smart. You're right. Your health is in your control. In fact, do you know that you can call up your health insurance, call up your local hospital, and if you use a special code word, banana12, if you say that, they can guarantee that you won't get sick. And if you eat the right food, they can guarantee you won't get a brain tumor, you won't get cancer, you won't be murdered, you won't die, you'll live forever if you eat vegetarian food or avoid gluten or whatever you do. No, of course I'm joking. No matter what you do, you can't guarantee you won't get a brain tumor. So you're telling me those little kids born with leukemia, that was up to them? They shouldn't have smoked in the womb? No, right? Our health is not in our control. Now, sure, you can eat healthy. I eat very healthy. Does that mean I won't get cancer? I won't be murdered, right? No. It means there's a little statistical advantage. I'm less likely to get cancer, right? But it doesn't mean I can avoid this stuff. My health is, for the most part, completely out of my control. What about our property and possessions? Well, Jeff, I can control that. I have a gun. No, you can't. Hey, why don't you try that? Call up your property insurance company and say the code banana12 and see if they can guarantee that you will never be robbed. You will never be murdered for your things. There will never be a fire or a flood. Oh, you can control those things? No, you can't. Reputation? That one should be easy to check off the list. All we have to do is look at a certain place. It's called high school. In high school, how did reputations get sorted? Completely random. Did you have a friend that was a sweet, virgin, Mormon, good person and had a reputation for being a skank or a slut? Yes. And did you have that skanky, slutty friend that had a reputation for being a sweet, wholesome person? Of course you did. And by the way, you shouldn't think of those as girl placeholders. I was talking about guys, right? Those reputations are completely backwards. Women, they're even more harsh, but men's make no sense. Women's make little sense. Reputation is easy. Now let's try the really tough one. Command. Your jobs are not in your control. Let's start with the sarcasm first. When I was looking for jobs, I found this really neat school in Central California, great surfing right nearby, and the salaries were really good because the property taxes were so high, rich area. And so I called them up and said, I am qualified for your job, so you're going to hire me. I've decided to work there. Is that how we get our jobs? Of course not, right? Our jobs are based on other people's judgments. So does this mean if you are the best at your field and have the most qualifications, you'll be hired? No. It goes to a hiring committee and their judgments is what decides. And do they always hire the best candidate? No. I've participated. Now, I avoid many bureaucratic committees and so forth. I try to avoid administrative work unless I see it being directly helpful for students. So one thing I do participate in is hiring committees. I think the very best thing I can do if I'm trying to care for you as students is hire the best teachers. That's the silver bullet when it comes to great education, great teachers. How often in these hiring committees, and by the way, they put me on big ones. I even get on the dean hiring committees. How often, in my estimation, have we hired the most qualified and best candidate? Once. I have hired probably 25 people through my career at different schools in here, and once did we get the candidate that I judged best. Now, don't mistake me for just being very subjective and saying that's the best candidate. No. Objectively the best candidate on paper. And I do a lot of research. I become a private investigator into these candidates. In fact, let me be more clear. After these committees are over and we give the hire that the group recommends, and only once has it been the one that I agreed with, half of the time, many of the participants on the committee apologize to me at the end. Again, this has happened in half of the committees. Multiple people have come up to me at the end and said, Jeff, I think your candidate was the best. Why didn't we hire that candidate? Literally, this keeps happening. What happens? Somehow the conversation gets turned and people have a different judgment about my candidate, and everyone joins as a group and takes that opinion as theirs until after the fact they realize, whoa, that was weird. Why did we rule out Jeff's favorite candidate? It happens. So if you are the best candidate, who knows if you're going to get the job? You know how that works. And now let's say I have a job. Is it up to me whether I keep it? No. I'm in a very secure position. I work for the state of New Mexico, and I'm in education, and I have something like tenure. Does this mean my job is secure? No. Now, you could look at a business job and say, oh yeah, the economy is really fickle. They could just decide that you don't have a good enough product, you don't have good enough services, and they could make a terrible judgment and hire someone else or stop coming to your job. But what about mine? Well, as you've seen with COVID, is the state economy under my control? If I teach really good, does that mean the economy is going to do well? And people, the bureaucrats, are going to decide to keep funding education and funding my department? No. A bunch of people whose judgments I can't control make the decisions about whether I keep my job. Your job is not in your control. All right. Let me stop being sardonic, right? It was fun. It was really fun to be that negative. But now let me try to convince you that this is smart. I am going to go through the key passages, and I'll even hit a couple passages that you find the most objectionable. And I am going to illustrate them, tell a little story, and show you why this is great advice. All right, so I'll refer to the section numbers. Let me begin by reading a couple of my favorite passages and explaining why you need to adopt this mindset. So let's start in section 20. Again, you should have this out in front of you or have it open in another window. Get it off the website. Please make sure you're reading this when I'm pointing to it. Section 20. Remember that not he who gives ill language or a blow insults, but the principle which represents these things as insulting. When therefore anyone provokes you, be assured that it is your own opinion which provokes you. Try therefore in the first place not to be hurried away with the appearance, for if you once gain time and respite, you will more easily command yourself. Let's go one farther. Go to 42. When any person harms you or speaks badly of you, remember that he acts or speaks from a supposition of its being his duty, right? He thinks he's supposed to do that. Now, it is not possible that he should follow what appears right to you, but what appears so to himself. Therefore, if he judges from a wrong appearance, he is the person hurt, since he too is the person deceived. For if anyone should suppose a true supposition to be false, the proposition is not hurt, but he who is deceived about it. Setting out then from these principles, you will meekly bear a person who reviles you, for you will say upon every occasion, it seems so to him. Let's give our first demonstration here. We will call this the green hair theory. Let's pretend we are in class, and let's pretend I pick you out. Now, I have learned, I used to always do this with women, but you will see why that could backfire. Let me explain that as we go. But I will start with a man, right? Someone who identifies as a man. Let's go. So, I ask a male student, okay? So, can you please do this demonstration with me? And they're fine. And then I start, and I act like I'm a big jerk. And I say this. So I'll try to get in the spirit of this. Good? So, all you have to do, pretend if this is you, but pretend you're male for now. I'll show you why this could be scarier for a female. Step 1 usually goes well. Here's what I say. Pretend we know each other. I say, gosh, I've been meaning to tell you for a while, but why did you dye your hair green? I mean, are we at Comic-Con? Is this cosplay? Green? It just looks so ugly on you. Why would you dye your hair green? Now, please notice, is your hair green? Now, maybe it is, right? Maybe you're that one rare person whose hair is green right now, but keep in mind, your hair is not green. And if I say, gosh, your hair is green and ugly, are you offended? No, you're not offended because you know I'm wrong. If your hair's not green and I say your green hair is hideous, you would just start to worry about me. Imagine the interaction. So imagine that you are saying, I have ugly green hair. Well, notice, I would simply say, I'm sorry, but you're wrong. I wouldn't be offended by this at all. Why? Because I know it's not true. It is my judgment that gets offended, and my judgment isn't offended at all because I know you're simply wrong if you say I have green hair. And in fact, I would do the stoic thing, and I would be worried about you. I wouldn't get mad. Why would I get mad just because you're wrong about something? I would feel bad for you. I would wonder if you're not sick or at least dehydrated. I'm sorry, but you're seeing my hair as green and ugly? Oh, you poor thing. Something must be wrong with you. You're seeing things wrong. Do you get it? Step 2. And this is where, when I used to pick a female student, this backfired once really badly. Okay, let's try it. Step 2, new scenario. You know what, man? I've been meaning to tell you, but you gotta get some exercise or go on a diet. I mean, dude, you're just so fat and just letting yourself fall apart. You're in such bad shape, dude, right? Please, eat better. You're just getting hideously fat. Sorry. Now notice. Notice how that could backfire if I picked a female student, right? And it did once. I picked a student that should have thought of herself as just beautiful, such a beautiful person, brilliant, so attractive. Turned out, she was suffering from anorexia. Now, she knew what I was up to, so it didn't hurt her feelings, and I knew her. She was a student from a previous class, and so she told me, Jeff, you're lucky I held it together, but I have severe anorexia, right? So I knew what you were doing. So, ever since I've picked men. All right, so let's play out this scenario. Now, let me give a few different scenarios. Good? So let's pretend that you are saying, Jeff, you are fat. You need to go on a diet. Now, it is my judgment that determines whether that's offensive. So let's take scenario one, right? Scenario one. It would be the same as the green hair scenario. If I know that I'm not fat, I would just say, oh, I'm sorry. I don't know what's the matter with you, but I'm simply not fat. It wouldn't offend me. I would just feel sorry for the person. Scenario two. Let's say I am a little bit fat, right? Let's take me right now. And you say, oh, you're fat. I would say, yeah, I am a little chubby, right? But why does that matter to you? Are you just looking out for my health? If you are, oh, that's nice of you. I wouldn't get offended. Or maybe I could even just say, yep, I'm a little chubby, and why are you pointing that out? I mean, it's just obvious. Oh, were you trying to hurt my feelings? Oh, what's wrong with you that you're being so mean? Because I'm not hurt. It's just obvious that I'm chubby, right? Do you just point out obvious things? I'm also wearing a black shirt. Why didn't you point that out? Are you like a little kid that just points out obvious things? Look, Daddy, a doggy. Oh, good job using the word doggy for a dog. Good job using the word fat for fat people. Why is that interesting? Do you get it? It is my judgment that determines what the meaning is of what they're saying. If I think I'm fat, then it shouldn't bother me because they've just pointed out what I agree to. If I know I'm not fat, then it wouldn't offend me at all. I just feel bad that this person thinks that, and they are so deceived and so weird and maybe even so mean. Why are they so insecure that they point out other people's flaws? Do you get how brilliant this is? In most areas, women are smarter and more sensitive and psychologically more sophisticated than men. This is one of the few areas where women are typically bigger dum-dums than men are, because you let other people's judgments change your judgments. You need to adopt this. Okay, as you can see, I love this stuff, right? Go to passage 6, right? So let's go back, right? I'm jumping all around. Don't be prideful with any excellence that is not your own. If a horse should be prideful and say, I am handsome, it would be supportable. Let's update this. If a car should say, I'm an attractive car, that would be supportable. But when you are prideful and say, I have a handsome car, and know that you are proud of what is in fact only the good of the car, what then is your own? Only a reaction to the appearances of things. So notice. If you take pride in your shoes or your hair or your abs, right, or something, that's hardly you. Good genetics, right? If you take pride in something even sillier, in your computer, your car, your phone, what on earth are you taking pride in? Good job buying that car, right? Oh, great. I guess you take pride in your taste? But that's not how this works. You think that is a part of you, and so you think, I feel good about myself because I have these great shoes. You're not shoes, right? Oh, I'm hearing Fight Club in my head. You're not your khakis, right? You're not the contents of your wallet. Try another one. Go to 14. All right, so 14. If you wish your children and your wife and your friends to live forever, you are stupid. For you wish to be in control of things which you cannot. You wish for things that belong to others to be your own. So likewise, if you wish your servant to be without fault, you are a fool. For you wish vice not to be vice, but something else. But if you wish to have your desires undisappointed, this is in your own control. Now, this is a section that is harsh, right? Let's combine this with the passages number 3, right? I think you remember that one. With regard to whatever objects give you delight or are useful or deeply loved, remember to tell yourself of what general nature they are, beginning from the most insignificant things. If you're fond of a cup, it's just a cup. If you're fond of a child, it's just another child. Go to number 26. The will of nature may be learned from those things which we don't distinguish from each other. For example, when our neighbor's boy breaks a cup or the like, we are presently ready to say, these things happen. Be assured then that when your own cup likewise is broken, you ought to be affected just as when another's cup was broken. Apply this in like manner to greater things. Is the child or wife of another dead? There is no one who would not say, that's a human accident. But if your own child happens to die, how wretched I am. Now notice what he's saying. You are dumb if you think everyone should live forever and you curse God if someone dies. No, people die. But notice, you should be consistent. I once had a friend that was so neat. She would, whenever she heard a siren, she would give a little prayer. I hope that person is okay. Oh, I hope that things turn out for them okay. Now notice, she is being consistent. If that was her friend that got hurt, or herself, she would be sad. And so she was sad whenever she would hear a siren that meant someone was experiencing some loss or something to be afraid of. She would say, that is terrible. Great, notice. Now, what is he saying? If you wish your partner or your mom or your kids to be perfect, you're a fool too, because they're not. You should expect them to be who they are and not be disappointed when they're anything else. And if you have a delusion in your judgment about what you expect from people, that is again your problem. It is your judgment, your opinion that's causing your disappointment. You should expect them to be who they are. Now number 41. Ooh, this one's mean. 41. It is a mark of want of genius. Sorry, that is an awkward translation. It's very negative. Let's understand that. It is a mark of. What does that mean? It's a sign of. And it is a mark of want of. To be in want of something means you don't have it. If you're in want of money, that means you're poor. So put it together. It is a mark of want of genius. What does this mean? It is a sign that you are completely lacking in genius. Put it all together. It is a clear sign that you're an idiot to spend much time in things relating to the body, as to be long in our exercises, gym, in eating and drinking, and in the discharge of other animal functions. Yes, eating, dieting, right? Discharge, pooping, peeing, and that's sex too. If you spend a lot of time worrying about your diet and your exercise and your clothes and your appearance and your body, he is calling you an idiot. Now, if we were to make a nice little pie chart on how much time and energy you spend on things that are out of your control, like your diet and exercise and your body and your appearance, and compared on that pie chart how much time and energy you spend on things you can control, like cultivating your character, making concern for your choices, trying to be a better person in how you judge things, what would the pie chart look like? Do you spend more time on gaining knowledge and thinking about your choices and opinions, or do you spend more time on your appearance, eating, makeup, getting dressed, exercising? Yes, he is putting you down pretty thoroughly. That would be the pie chart of a big dummy. Sorry, harsh. Now, let's turn to the last couple things we want to say here. You would look at these lists of what's in our control and what's out of our control and say, Jeff, it would be pretty crazy to show no concern for those things whatsoever. Shouldn't I be worried about my job and worried about what I eat? And at least if I don't worry, be concerned with my health and things. Notice what he's going to say. Let's look at what we'll call the role of providence or the role of faith in this. Right? You will see references to God throughout, but notice, what Epictetus is saying is we have to have a certain faith or trust in, and what it's in can be various. It could be God. It could be just a belief that God will take care of us. Or it could be a trust in just fate or nature. Maybe even something like a Taoist faith, right? Taoism, where you just know things will run their course the way they should. That nature will just take care of things. Good? So let's read them. So start with number 15 and then we'll go to 17. 15 says, remember that you must behave in life as at a dinner party. Is anything brought around to you? Put out your hand and take your share with moderation. Does it pass by you? Don't stop it. Is it not yet come? Don't stretch your desire towards it, but wait till it reaches you. Do this with regard to children, to a wife, to public posts, that means jobs, to riches, and you will eventually be a worthy partner of the feast of the gods. Go to 17. Remember that you are an actor in a drama, of such a kind as the author pleases to make it. If short, of a short one. If you're going to die young, it's not your fault. It's the author's fault. If long, of a long one. If it is his pleasure you should act a poor man, a cripple, a governor, or a private person, a rich person, see that you act it naturally. For this is your business, to act well the character assigned you. To choose it is another's. Notice, you cannot control your position in life. You can't control directly what job you can get. You can't even really control your genetics, and this has a lot to do with your personality and your level of intelligence. But what can you control? Acting rationally and wisely in the position you are given. Notice, it is saying nature, God, the universe, is in charge of the things you're not in charge of. Does this very much sound like the Serenity Prayer? Yes, that is a Stoic principle. You can't control most of the things in your life, so you just have to trust fate, God, your faith, trust nature, the Tao, that those things will take care of themselves. So think back to number 15. This is one of my favorites. What is it saying? Yes, you have desires for things like finding a partner. You have a desire for a family or a good career, right? A good job or vocation that can meet your needs. You have a desire to have children. We do desire these things, but we can't control their coming. So what do? We have to act like a polite member of a dinner party. When those things come around to us, take our share with gratitude. But don't stretch out your desires to those things before they get here. Let's think about this. Are we good at seeking out a partner? When we are really lonely and desperate, do we make good choices when we try to catch a partner? No, we make the worst choices because we are terrible at knowing what is good for us. So what is he saying? Wait for a partner to come to you. You should be busy right now becoming qualified for that partner when they get here. You should spend all your time and effort on your character, on your beliefs that lead to your bad temper, on your sense of security, on being patient and caring and sensitive, because you can control your opinions and thus change your temperaments. What should you do with the job? Be ready for when the job comes. Study, change your beliefs, right? Change your skills, have a better personality so that when you get that post, when you become a professor, you're ready to do a good job at it. Let's give some basic little anecdotes from my life. First, this job. I didn't even really get this job at first. I applied for this job before I was actually applying for jobs. I sent out what's called my dossier, my CV for job openings as practice without fully applying for the job. And this job was not even available. They had already hired someone for this job. They saw my dossier, and the dean brought me in and interviewed me anyway. They knew who they were hiring, but it wasn't official. But the dean said, let's look at this person. They look pretty good on paper. I came in, I interviewed well, I gave a teaching demonstration, I guess it went well. And the committee, I talked to them after I got hired, and they said, we wished we could have hired you because you were great, but we already knew who we were hiring. What happened? The dean opened a position that didn't exist. She stole it from another department because she wanted me. Do you see how cool that is? I was ready, I was a good teacher, and I got a job that wasn't even available. That's how it works. Let's try my partner, my wife, right? Let's see how this worked. Let me show you the scenario. At the time, my best friend in the world at this time was living in Chicago and I was living in Boston. And what we had arranged is that I would do a stopover at O'Hare Airport in Chicago so we could catch up. So I had like a 5-hour stopover, and she was going to meet me in the airport at O'Hare, and here's how it went. I met with my best friend Kelly, and she had big news. What is it? And she wouldn't tell me till I got there. Okay, what's your big news? And she said, I'm getting married this year. Wow, that's huge, right? Well, congratulations. Who is it, right? Tell me all about him because he better be a good person. And she said, try to guess, I already gave it away. She said, it's you. What? Right? Yes. I have looked at all of the men I know, and I've discovered that you're the best person that I could find for a husband. You seem really like a good person, so we are getting married this year. What now? How did I respond? I responded with, oh my gosh, right? Complete shock. And then I guess that would be great. You're my best friend. You're a saint of a person, right? A little bit of a gangster, but such a good person. Okay. What did I do? The entree arrived to me, the little portion of dessert came to me. I accepted it with moderation. How did that work out? She made good choices. I couldn't find a partner. I was making the worst choices, and I was terrified and shy. What happened? A partner came to me, and I accepted it with gratitude. You need to be more stoic. It will make your life better. I wish you would also find your real needs or combine the two like I do, right? My life is good. I hope you can see that I am a really happy, satisfied person. You need at least 50% of this.